what's up, guys? Welcome out to another episode of According to Kaz Queen. And as always, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And this is this little podcast of ours. These are conversations that happen between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home that we bring to you guys, sometimes to make you laugh, sometimes to make you think, but always to be introspective, to open up the lines of communication between men and women, husbands and wives, friends and lovers, all of that good stuff. You know the drill. We are available on all streaming services, wherever you listen to all your favorite podcasts. According to Kaz Queen is right there. You can check us out on Black with No Chaser Radio. Make sure that you're downloading the BWNC Radio app. Make sure that you download that. All right, the BWNC Radio app. All right, you can check us out on all social media platforms. We are on Facebook at Kaz Queen, Instagram at Kaz Queen, Twitter at Kaz Queen, TikTok at Kaz Queen. You know what it is. Just check us out. Put in Kaz Queen on any of those social media sites so you can check us out there. And we are also on YouTube. All right. When I put my finger right here or here, wherever you see it on your screen, if you're watching us on YouTube, youtube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin, youtube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin, all together, Kamikaze, Brad Kamikaze Franklin. Please subscribe to the channel. We are inching closer to 1,000 subscribers. We appreciate you guys who continue to check us out. Make sure that you do that. All right. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. And this is brought to you by the Kundi Collection. All right, www.kundicollective.com. You see it right here, Little Africa. This is one of our more popular designs. We got on red today. Mm-hmm. Wow. It just kind of happens by happenstance. So yeah, check it out. Little Africa, www.kundicollective.com. Check it out. And if you have any questions, you got any comments, if you got something that you want us to talk about on the show, kazandqueen@gmail.com. All right. Kaz and Queen, KazandQueen, kazandqueen@gmail.com. You see it on the screen right there. If you got something you want us to talk about, if you got a question about your love life, about your marriage, about relationships, or about some current events and you want us to talk about it here on the podcast, email us, kazandqueen@gmail.com, and we will be glad to indulge. You got a particular food or you got a restaurant in the central Mississippi area. If you are here, if you're listening to us in other places, of course, we're not traveling to other places to eat at restaurants just yet, but you know, we'll get there one day. You know what I'm saying? We travel. We like to eat. We just got through talking about eating, as a matter of fact. It's one of our favorite pastimes is going out and eating at restaurants. It's one of the things that I enjoy doing with my family above all else. It's going out and enjoying a meal with my family. Not because we're just gluttons and we like to eat, but we like to go places and enjoy the ambiance of restaurants and get some of that good food. Would you not agree?
I agree.
Okay, that's cool.
You definitely, it's a bigger deal for you than me, but I agree.
Yeah. So, you know, we'll do that as well. But at any rate, it's a lot of stuff going on this week in the world, but something particularly that I wanted to talk about, and I shot it to you. You know, we talked about on this podcast a few episodes back about the gentleman, he and his girlfriend, I think, were living in the storage unit. And he made a big deal out of living in the storage unit. And he was like, hey, check me out. This is how I'm living. This is what I'm doing. Yada, 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 yada. And it turns out that all of the social media attention that he got him kicked out of the storage unit. And he and his girlfriend, I think, were living in a tent outside of the storage unit from there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got an update and they're back. And if you have been watching social media, this guy made another video. They were clearly in a hotel somewhere. They managed to find some place to stay, and he was going off. I mean, he was berating social media because people were coming in the contents telling him to get a job. And that did not sit well with that fella. He was upset. And he went on a social media tirade about fuck jobs and I'm not getting a job and I'm not falling for the trick of the job. And the young lady was just sitting on the bed, nodding her head. And they were in the comments just letting him have it. It was on TikTok and they were just letting him have it. And I thought it was just weird. And I wanted to get your thoughts on it as you watched it because we watched this whole thing unfold. It was just a weird turn of events. Like, on the one hand, is this guy smarter than all of us and he's got it figured out? Or on the other hand, is he just lazy and he doesn't want to get a job and he wants to travel along in hotels and tents for the rest of his life because he feels like he's beating the system?
I don't have any idea what could possibly be going through this young man's mind, what his focus area is. What seems to be most glaringly obvious to me is that he's trying to go viral. He's trying to get attention. He's trying to build a following of some sort, maybe. You know, this whole idea of getting money and exposure from social media, we didn't have those options.
That's true.
So now with that option being there, you're going to get people who say, I have this as an option, so I don't have to go this way. I don't have to do what you did. I don't have to get a job. I don't have to work every day of my life. I can post videos that are controversial and get as much attention and get money that way. So, you know, that's what it looks like to me.
Is it like is it some diabolical plan that, you know, I'm going to incite people on social media to respond to me because I keep saying I don't want to get a job and fuck a job? Like, he was just really adamant about that shit. He's like, I've had jobs. I've gotten fired from all of them. I just had a job. You know, is this his way in trying to bait people into giving him engagement because he's figured out, you know, how to make some money on social media? Then he released a rap video a little bit after that about him being in the storage unit. It just seems like at first this might just be a lazy grifter. But then again, when you look at it, this guy might be a diabolical evil villain, an evil genius.
You know, there was once one track to success. You go to high school, you graduate, you go to college, you get a good job. That was the track. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, this generation does not live by that. You know, it's a little bit freer for the young people these days. And they do have options that we didn't have. I don't necessarily get lazy. I get that he's looking for the easiest way. Not necessarily that he's lazy. Yeah. But he's looking for an easy, quick come up. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, he will get one. Because all it takes is attention.
So, plot twist. I don't know if you saw this or not. Apparently, the young lady that's on the bed, his girlfriend, she has an OnlyFans. And
she didn't look like he was speaking on her behalf. She didn't look like it.
She looked like she was just kind of there. And she was on the video. So I'm thinking if you're not really with what he's saying, you don't really have to be in the video. But I guess because that was their place of residence at the moment, I guess she didn't have any choice. She looked a lot. She looked like
prepared for that video.
She was prepared for the video.
It was not discussed. It was not sporadic and spontaneous. She was prepared for the video.
She appeared to have makeup on, or her hair was down. She definitely didn't look as leisurely as she did in the first video that they were making in the storage unit. You know, she looked like she had been out doing something along the way. And as it turns out, it might be that she had been out recording content for her OnlyFans. She has an OnlyFans.
By any means necessary.
And I don't know if the OnlyFans is making money. I've seen worse, you know, that, you know, people are out there spending money for. They had a picture of the you know, the homepage of our OnlyFans page. Maybe that's how they're making their money. Maybe that's how they're able to go from hotel to hotel. And if that's the case, some people consider OnlyFans to be a job. I think they might actually get W-2s because they are getting revenue. So I think they're actually getting W-2s. So that might actually be a job. So maybe he's not working. Maybe he's got her on the OnlyFans working, making money for the family at the end of the day. But I say that to say, because we've talked about this a couple of times, the concept of the job, you go to school, you get your degree, or you go to school, you learn a trade, you get you a job, and you go to work, and you work until you're too old to work anymore. Then you stop working, and then you just get on your pathway to leaving this earth. Mm-hmm. And how, the first concept or the first thing that people tell you is get a job, get a job, get a job. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of people who have said that that's not their lot in life, and they're not really built for that. Even some people who are in the situations that they are, and then there are some people who live like that who are completely happy and comfortable living like that. But your thought on the concept of, okay, well, you don't have a home, you need a roof over your head, you got to do this, you got to live like this, go get a job, clock in, work for somebody else, blah, 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 blah. And that's the response and the answer for everybody that sees people living like the guy in a storage unit.
I just think that is what happens in this country. Like, we just get brainwashed to believe that we should all toe a line of some sort. I actually think it's commendable to be able to be mindfully free of that obligation to meet the standards that society sets. I wish that I could be more free to be able to say, I'm not going to go this route, I'm going to go this route. But when I was growing up, this is what was instilled in me. But you're going to find that more of this will happen, because the same limitations aren't on our children that were on us. And the ability to see the world was not at our fingertips like it is for our children. So they're able to see that I can build a life by turning on my video and recording myself, building content. And I think the idea that is not a job is antiquated. It's just an old idea. If we're supposed to accept that rappers can rap at 50, if we're supposed to accept that going to college is not the only way to have a successful life, if we can accept that, then we can accept that creating content is a job. You get paid for it. They put in as much work. Content creators put in as much work as you do going to an 8 to 5. It's just that they don't have to clock in for somebody else. They getting their money themselves. The idea that it has to be one way is just not going to work anymore. And the idea that you can't be happy unless you have money, or unless you have a car, or unless you have a house, that's going to die away too, because everybody don't need the same things. This is just what we've been programmed to believe success is. But everybody doesn't need the same thing to be successful. This young man may just need to be able to get up and go whenever he wants to go someplace else. He may need to be able to just be with his woman and create content. And, if that's his thing, bless it. You know what I'm saying? He ain't hurting nobody. It doesn't seem like he's taken away from anything, from anybody or anything. So
he's paying the phone bill.
He's paying his phone bill. He's obviously, at least him or somebody he know, or some kind of way, he's able to stay in a hotel. So, we don't get to decide.
Those OnlyFans checks coming
we don't get to decide what's right for people.
Yeah.
And we don't, and everything, to think that there's a blanket way to do this life thing. If you think that, you're doing yourself a disservice, because what works for you may not work for the next person. And it doesn't mean that they're wrong because they don't do it the way that you do it. You know?
Yeah.
So I think we need to kind of get over ourselves. A job is not the answer. First of all, who said it was a problem?
I mean, that's true. And I think the
problem came from him broadcasting that he had made a home out of a storage unit.
Yeah.
That was a problem.
Which people have been doing, of course, for years. He's not the first one to do it. He's the first one to broadcast that he lived there, and he's probably blown up a lot of people's spot. I think it's commendable as well. For me, I don't know about dragging someone else into it.
Who said he dragging?
Yeah, I mean, she could very well want to be there.
She could be the master manipulator, or
she could be the mastermind,
or the genius.
She could be.
We are on the outside of this situation. All we know is what we're looking at, and most of the time, as you know, what's happening when the camera go off ain't got nothing to do with what you see on camera.
That's
so we don't know what this situation is. All I know is do what make you happy. If that and what I was about to say is his problem with the unit wouldn't have been a problem except that you ain't supposed to live there.
Yeah.
That's the only issue. You ain't supposed to live there. That's the issue. So go somewhere else. You know, but and I'm sure that he would have been able to get away with that much longer if he didn't broadcast.
He'd still be there right now if he didn't do it. So, you know, who knows? You know, maybe he's an adventurous guy who makes very bad decisions. Because in either case, you know, going to the internet with things, which is what people are doing these days. I made a comment about that too. As a matter of fact, you know, you have often stated, and a lot of people even state with us here on this podcast, that we are extremely transparent. We're very transparent. And even as being transparent, there are some things that you still feel at times that I'm being too transparent about. And then there are times when there are things that we both feel are not, you know, suitable to share with the world. So we even have a limit ourselves, but we are extremely transparent with our feelings, with the way that we react to things. You know, you have talked about your experiences on here. You know, I've talked about my experiences on here, and we've both had instances where we talked about very emotional time periods in our lives. And for a lot of other people, they probably wouldn't share that in a public forum. We share these things because we feel like our testimony and our stories can help other couples and help other people. But there is still a line that I see crossed on social media that I cannot believe. And I have just come to grips with the fact that I just don't think that I'm going to ever be able to post anything that's going to ever be able to go viral in this day and age. Maybe 20 years ago, but in this day and age, y'all be posting a lot of stuff that y'all are not ashamed of. And it's weird because a lot of this stuff, I don't think y'all are as embarrassed as y'all should be when y'all post some of this stuff. And it's wild, you know, the family drama that goes on, the back and forth between men and women, even the criminal activities that you will put on social media, just the attempts, you know, even, I don't know if you even followed the Reesa Tessa story that was on TikTok. Did you hear about that? The young lady that had the 50-part TikTok story.
I heard about it. I have zero interest in watching it.
She ended up making close to $86,000 on TikTok from that, and got a free trip from Delta Airlines, and got a free something. I think she's getting a free car from it. Just a bounty of things that are just being thrown her way for her putting up this 50-part story.
Which gives more people incentive to do stupid stuff or to divulge themselves and be open, because here she is. People complain about it and they talk about 50 this and I ain't watching this and why y'all watching it and I wouldn't say this and girl, you look crazy. But if her goal was to go viral and get paid, she accomplished it.
And even if it wasn't, y'all helped it to go viral.
And so by that testimony, she is successful. If she's willing to sacrifice privacy to get the bag, and that's her choice, you know? So I don't know. It's just different.
Crazy.
We feel different. We come from a different age.
Yeah, we do.
You know, we have the option of using Facebook, Twitter, social media. It's a part of their life. It's always been there for them. It wasn't always there for us. So we have other experiences that don't include social media and other people. Yeah. You know, and bringing people into our world. Like our world, the world is our world and everybody else is blurred for them. It's just one world. Like for us, it's us and then everybody else. But for them, it's everybody is everything. Yeah. So you're going to see more of that.
And it's unfortunate. I even see people now who are just posting that, you know, I'm about to post this, I'm going to post that. You know, I got my little $40 from Facebook, and, you know, if I can do this and I can do this, I can make me a nice little check off of Facebook. And, you know, kudos to Facebook for providing an outlet for creators to be able to make money, because they give everybody that signs into Facebook, you have the opportunity to make money off of Facebook by what you post and by how much you engage and things that you put on there. You know, I've made a few bucks on Facebook for my post, not because I was trying to, but because I have a lot of posts that end up getting a lot of shares and a lot of likes and comments on it. Those are the things that ring up. It's not, huge checks. It's, enough to go out to lunch with, but you're making money by posting. And if you post more salacious stuff, you make more money. And that's just making people push the envelope further and further and further. And, this Reesa Tessa thing just kind of is a testament to that, over $80,000 over the course of different platforms, just telling the story about not doing your due diligence when you're getting ready to marry somebody and you're getting a story out of it. Which I think leads me to my next question, which is a question for you. There are a lot of, Reesa Tessa is not the first person that's had a story like this. I've seen a lot of these stories on TikTok. Somebody came the very next day, somebody from Jackson, who's a Jackson native, got on there the very next day, Jill the Jew, and told her story about her marriage, and she went viral. I watched as she went from 2,000 followers on TikTok to 23,000 followers on TikTok in a matter of 48 hours telling the story. And it begs the question, what kind of discernment are women and men having in dating? Because some of these stories that I'm hearing are hilarious, but some of them are horror stories. And when they begin the story and they start telling the story about how they found things out, there were obvious red flags in the story from the very beginning. And they always say, I didn't think anything of it. This was happening and I didn't think anything of it. As someone who counsels people on these issues, why do you think that is? And at what point does somebody need to see these flags and say, hey, there's an issue here and I need to start asking some deep questions? Because in none of these instances, in Reesa Tessa or in the other one, there were no questions asked. And there were several incidents and several opportunities to ask questions about some of the crazy behavior that was going on.
Most of the time, people see what they want to see and don't see what they don't want to see. So why they tolerate it, why they know and don't do anything, it's anybody's guess. It's probably trauma related. It's a trauma response. Everything is trauma related, really, to be honest with you, because the trauma is what teaches us who we're going to be or how we're going to react or what emotions we carry. So who knows what they're actually going through is probably individual for each person as to why they tolerate certain things, but everybody don't have the same red flag. So you really have to know yourself individually. You have to really do self-evaluation to figure out why this particular thing upsets you, why this particular thing does not upset you, why you feel like you deserve to be treated that way, why you are okay with being treated that way, why are you accepting that treatment. All of those things are called self-awareness, and a lot of people just simply don't put in the work to know themselves enough to be aware.
And getting into an entire marriage with a guy who tells you that he works at one place and doesn't work anywhere, and you don't find that out until later, or you find out later that they're married to an entire other person, or you find out later that, they don't have the money that they say that they have, or, all the things that I see in all of these stories. In my mind, there has to be something that clicks. I think about you and I when we began courting, and you kind of knew what I was doing because, I wasn't working a conventional job. I was doing music, and I was, pursuing music at the time. So you consider me an artist. You kind of knew that, but I don't see how you get married to someone and then at some point they're just able to tell you, hey, I'm a rocket scientist. And you just take that at face value and you actually marry them and move in with them, and they're leaving every day. And I'm going to do rocket science today. And you not know that. Like, at what point do you ask these questions? At what point does that become strange? Or at what point do you begin to put those pieces together when people are telling you that?
I don't know, but at what point do we have a conversation about the person that's lying about being the rocket scientist
Yeah.
as opposed to the person who's accepting the lie?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's a clear issue with the person who's lying. But the person that's lying is going to be a liar anyway. That's how they get to where they're getting to, or whether they're just a liar, or whether they're narcissist, or whatever the case is. So there has to be a level of discernment on the other end of the other person. We can put the blame on the person that's lying, but how do we help the discernment of the person on the other end? What happens as a woman who dated, before you and I got together? You were in other relationships. You dated people. Obviously, both of us did. What level of discernment do you feel like you had when you was hearing guys tell you, I do this, I do that, I do this, I can do this, I can do that? At what point does the spidey senses and the spidey tingling go off and you say, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right?
I mean, people have touches of intuitional knowledge on a regular basis. That doesn't mean they do anything about it. Most people ignore it and just move on. Some people hear it and then are disobedient to the message. So we don't necessarily know that she did not catch the red flag or that she did not know that something was going on. She may have just wanted to be married so bad that she overlooked it. Or she may have not believed that he would lie to her. It could be anything. It's really just so broad. I guess the best way that I could answer kind of what you're thinking with this question is, I was in an abusive relationship for 11 years. I was in a relationship for 11 years. It was abusive for 7 years. I'm sure the outside world, had they known that I was being abused, would say, why is she staying? She should leave. Why is she putting up with this? That's great. You're right. I should have left. But the truth of the matter is, I didn't have anything in me to leave. I didn't believe the world would go on if I left. I didn't believe that anybody else would want me if I left. I didn't believe that I didn't deserve the abuse. So it's real easy from the outside to make a judgment on what a person is going through in a relationship because you're not attached to the emotion and the feelings and the hurt and the pain that particular person is in, especially in an abusive situation that person is going through. And each individual handles it how they need to handle it. So if you on the outside going, I wouldn't have stayed, I would have did this, I would have did that. A, you don't know because you're not in a situation how you would handle it. And B, just because you would does not mean that would work for them or that they're ready to make that step. So it's really about healing. Whatever, I personally needed healing to be able to see that I was worth more than that I could be loved in a good, healthy way. I didn't even know that wasn't good and healthy. I knew I didn't like being punched in the face and kicked in the stomach. I knew that, but I had nothing to measure it by as it relates to, is this how normal, regular relationships function?
Right.
I had no way to measure it. So people have their own different experiences, and most of the experiences that cause us to react a particular kind of way, whether the decisions are agreeable to the public or not, usually come from whatever has happened to us in our childhood that developed that behavior that is now showing up as a result in that relationship. That's really the best thing I got for that.
What did your intuition tell you about me when we began interacting?
That I could build an empire with you.
That's what your intuition told you? From the beginning? That was your first impression?
From the door. I felt like you were not the very, very first. You talking about at the very beginning?
Okay. Let me clarify that. So I'm talking about, yes, let's start from the very beginning. And then as our interactions increased and got more frequent, and we were having conversations and talking on the phone and interacting with each other, what your intuition told you from the beginning, and then how that developed into us being here into us actually getting into a committed relationship at that point. What was your intuition telling you the very first time I met you and then a little bit after that?
Initially, I knew that you were different from the other guys that I was coming in contact with. You seemed more serious about me than the guys that I was dealing with at the time. So I guess my intuition was just kind of saying, see what this gonna do. See what this is. Mm-hmm. This is probably something worth putting your time and energy into. And later, when we actually made the decision that this was us and we were in a relationship and made it kind of official, that's when thoughts of this makes sense. This is the man I want to have children with. This is the man I want to be with. This is the man. Basically, I felt like you loved me. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how I felt so much, but I knew that you loved me. Or even if you didn't at that moment, that love was happening and that you were really seeing me.
So your intuition told you good things. Your intuition did not give you any pause.
Yes.
There were no red flags that you saw right
after that. And the same things
I
thought then, I still think.
So there were no red flags. You didn't see anything that you was like, let me see about this part.
There were red flags.
Okay. What were those?
You asking two different questions.
Well, intuition should alert you to red flags, correct? No?
They can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were the red flags then?
You did not have a car.
Oh, well, yeah.
When you came to see me, you were in your ex-girlfriend's car.
Yes. And we were not together, by the way. And
yeah, y'all wasn't together.
She was allowing me to use her vehicle.
Girlfriend you had before me.
I wasn't sneaking around in her car. I want to make sure I put that caveat out there.
Yeah, you were using her car. She was allowing you to use her car.
Yes.
Y'all were friends and all that good shit. Y'all know that story. That was kind of a thing. You had this idea initially. I don't know if you recall this, but you told me right off the bat that if I ever asked you for money, you was going to leave.
In the first couple of months.
Yes.
There was a time frame for that. Yes, I did say that.
And I appreciate that though, because that put you in a different category than everybody else that I was messing with. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate you telling me that. Not that I wanted you to give me no money, but you were making it clear for me that I'm not going to be one of them dudes. Like whatever we develop, I'm not going to be that.
It's going to be real and it's going to be organic.
But early hearing that, it's like, oh, you not what? You going to leave me? I don't know if that was a red flag, but it kind of did give me insight into who you are.
Mm-hmm. I'd have thrown a smoke bomb so fast it would have choked you to death. I'd have mashed out so fast. It was just a hard and fast rule that I had in the first couple of months, and we barely even know each other. And you asking me for some money for something? Which
I wasn't asking for money. This was us just having a conversation.
This was us having a conversation
about who are you, what do you like, how do you deal with your relationships, and he just was telling me, okay, this is one thing that I am not going to deal with, and then we talked about that.
Yeah, instantly. And it's funny because I saw this again, browsing social media. There was a guy telling his story about him approaching a young lady. They were talking on Facebook, and he just like, I want to get to know you. I like to get a chance to take you out or whatever. And she completely turned him down. She said, I got a boyfriend and blah, 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 blah. Turned him down. And that was it. And then she blocked him on social media after that. Okay, cool. She has a boyfriend. She's not trying to get propositioned. She blocks you because you was in the inbox. Dude said a couple of days later, something I guess had happened. Her boyfriend didn't give her something or something was happening. She unblocked him and got back in his inbox and said, hey, can you help me with my son's birthday party? And they had, that was their second conversation that they had. That was the second time. Like your first conversation was you saying, no, thank you. And I'm going to block you. I got a boyfriend. You blocked. A couple of days later, she unblocks him, gets back in the inbox and says, hey, and he had the screenshots. Hey, can you help me with my son's birthday party?
That is diabolical.
It's crazy. It's the second time you've had a conversation with this man and you're asking him to help you with your son's birthday party.
I mean, shoot your shot. He can't do nothing but say no.
I guess he should have said no and blocked her in the same fashion.
I mean, how bad do you want me? You in my inbox.
And that was the
you wanna
premise.
date me, so how bad you want me?
That was the premise, man. You know, and I see these folks talking about men sending women cash apps sight unseen, just sending them cash apps right off the bat just to have conversations with them. Y'all's tricking is going to destroy the concept of dating that exists out there. It's just a terrible
I think
thing.
that's basically gone. People ain't dating no more. Not like we used to.
Man.
You could tell that by the fact that you got to take me to a certain kind of restaurant. It's got to be this much money spent. You got to pick me up, or like all of that. That's just the dating days that we had are gone.
And that's unfortunate. Tricking it rules the world. It's a trick made every minute, and it's an unfortunate thing. And it's just raising the price of actually having good relationships. Is raising the price of it up to an astronomical level at the end of the day, because everything is attached to money. And the amount of money that you can give me, or the amount of money that you're making. And I mean, it's causing people to just have nervous mental breakdowns because the bar is getting pushed so far for everything. And capitalism is already pushing the bar on everything so far just to be able to live. And it's going to push people to the brink of where they're going to begin doing things. That's why we have people pushing the envelope on social media and doing the things that they're doing and being insightful on social media, because that's the easiest way for them to be able to make money. And in this day and age, they've seen people be able to make money. You know, Miss Netta and Charles went from, you know, being laughed at in a little video to now they hosting parties. You can go from nothing to hosting parties and getting invited out to do things. Your guy got him another video. I don't know if you seen it. Okay, that fella, where the money reside. He got him a tax refund rap that he did in front of a tax refund place. I think you saw that. Making a nice living off of just, you know.
You know, that's why I don't really. A part of me actually commends the brother with the video about the unit, because I think there's a freedom to saying I'm not going to work a job just to give you all my money back. When y'all are overcharging for housing, you overcharging for cars, you overcharging for groceries. It's all capitalism. I'm not going to buy into that. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that's what he's thinking, but there is something to be said for this experience that I have in this life. I'm not going to contribute this whole life to what you tell me life is supposed to be. So you get rich and I die poor. So if I'm going to die poor, it's going to be because I have lived the life that I want to live and I didn't acquire money to be able to justify your definition of success and happiness, because you can have happiness without all of those things. So I kind of can dig where he coming from, in the sense of I'm just not going to do what you say do because you say do it. Because I can live this way and be okay for what I need out of this life. And we work so hard. We can't even afford insurance. Insurance is way too much just to live and breathe. You have to pay way too much money for insurance. Like, that's ridiculous. It's all based on money. What I see happening in the future, and I don't know how far in the future, but I see money having zero value, because it means so much now to where everybody gonna eventually get to the point to where they have it, some more than others, and it's just not gonna have the same value placed on it. That's when people are gonna have to go back to peopling, you know. But it's gonna be some time before we get there. But I see that happening very easily.
It is, and you see little glimpses of it. You know, AT&T had that outage for about 2-3 days, and some people were just about to lose their mind. They were about to hurl themselves off the roofs of their houses and hurl themselves into traffic because AT&T was down for that time. There are a lot of us who were around in pre-cell phone days and pre-social media days, and we figured out how to get things done. I see parents all the time. There was a school in Houston that, banned cell phones in the school, and the kids walked out in a revolt, and it was a big uproar about that. And the parents was like, I buy this phone for my kid, and I need to be able to get in touch with my kid in case something happens. I need to be able to get in touch with my kid. Well, our parents got in touch with us by calling the school. There's a number to the office in the school. You can call the office phone, and they can go get your kid within 5 minutes. There's an intercom.
What you need with them. And how often do you call your kid on a daily basis?
What are y'all talking about? What are y'all talking about in the school that you need to be able to get in touch with them immediately for at that time? If there's a school shooting in the school, A, there's nothing you can do if you go up there, first of all, and B, there's an office there, and if something is happening, you can call there, you can find out what's happening, and if it's that pressing, you can go up there to the school. But, we make ourselves slaves to these devices. I'm guilty just as much as anyone is. But, it just drives the price of everything up. I think ultimately, what you're saying, and I think what a lot of people saying is the goal is to be happy. And whatever happiness looks like for you, whatever that happiness model is for you, then you should pursue it. I didn't feel good about getting yelled at about this. I felt like I was getting yelled at when he was just berating people about telling them to get a job. He was so adamant about not getting a job that I felt put off a little bit. But listening to you and kind of thinking about it, he's just saying, I'm living my life in the way that I want to live it. And you don't have to live. He's
insulted that you're trying to tell him how to live his life. He has chosen not to do what y'all do. Mm-hmm. You do what you do, and that's cool.
You might not want to live hotel to hotel.
That's not what I want. Yeah. And I'm okay with going from hotel to hotel. I'm okay with the freedom of not having to pay a mortgage for 30 years. I'm okay with not having to worry about where I'm going to park my car. I'm okay with, it may not be your choice. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It may not be the choice of the majority of people. Mm-hmm. But when somebody has identified their truth enough to be able to say, this is what I want, we got to commend that. That's a huge thing in today's world. Even if it don't look like anything that's good in your opinion, or healthy in your opinion, or even productive. That don't matter. If he happy and she got his woman, she happy with it. They ain't robbing nobody. They ain't killing nobody. They ain't hurting nobody. Their decisions only affect them. So
that's it. And on that note,
take a chill pill.
Take a chill pill.
Money can't buy happiness.
Yeah. Whatever makes you happy, do it. Whatever floats your boat. And on that note, we're going to get out of here. We appreciate you guys, of course, for always sticking with us and always listening to these conversations that we have right here that take place right here where we're sitting right now. If you're listening to us on streaming services, we are in the friendly confines of our abode, bringing you these podcasts. And we appreciate y'all for continuing to support us. Make sure you like and subscribe. All right. And make sure you tune back in every Tuesday, 7 p.m. All right. Live on YouTube, and then of course we'll be on streaming services the next day. The audio of this will be up on YouTube as well. We appreciate y'all for continuing to follow the journey. All right, so I'm Kaz,
and I'm Queen,
and this is According to Kaz and Queen. And we'll holler at you guys next time.